Started. Hello, everyone. Jose J with Garcia Mobile Home University here. Very special guest, Miss Barbara. Miss Barbara here is a park manager, has been for a while, and I'm going to let her tell you about herself. So, how are you, Barbara?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today. It's just very fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we invest. We're a one-stop shop to mobile homes. Whether we need to, not need to, but we love what we do. We buy them, we sell them, we finance them, we rehab many. And here lately this year, we've taken a lot more into moving them, transporting them. Whether it's out of one park that they don't want them into somebody's private lot or into another park, or it just depends on what the need is. But we're a one-stop shop to mobile homes. And now, with our coaching, with our university, Garcia Mohon University, which just came in attack, we're coaching a lot of students, and it's just growing. Currently in 6 different states, but our goal is nationwide. So enough about us, though. Here we have you. One of the biggest questions that many of my students and many people trying to get into mobile home investing, a fear I should say, is what do I say to a park manager? So before I get into questions, though, how long have you been managing parks?
Almost 9 years, and I've had both portfolio and individual. So it's been a varied bunch of experience with that.
Mm. Okay, so definitely, the ins and outs, no doubt. And we had you on here. Gosh, it's a year, half a year. I'm terrible
Yeah, it
with
was a while ago.
It was a while ago, and once we were starting with a lot of the webinars we had you on to kind of come in and answer a bunch of the same questions that we're about to ask you. Because, like I said, one of the biggest fears that our students have is talking to managers.
hmm
They're not so scared about investing. They'll take our coaching program, which is great. But is that initiative all right? Next, one of your homework duties is go talk to park managers. They freeze. Let's help them out. You're just a person, right?
Yes, last time I checked.
All right. So, like I tell them, these are people just like you and I. We're
Mhm.
there to provide a service. Do what you say you're going to do. Stand by your work. Make sure you do things the right way. Never go behind the part manager's back, because a part
Yeah.
manager can make or break you. I've had to learn that with some of my students where they try to, well, let me just wholesale a deal here or there, and it didn't work out, and they revert back to go to them always.
hmm
So if I was a new investor coming into the game of mobile home investing, and I find you as a park manager, I notice if you just stress mobile homes in your park, how do I even start a conversation with you?
Well, initially, you have to remember that the park manager, although they maybe have, this was a pet peeve of mine that's been an off and on issue, is making sure that you're giving consideration to their time is a huge detail, because that park manager has got more than one hat working on that property, whether it's a mom and pop property or it's a big corporation property. They've got between 8 and 12 different jobs that they do every day. So you popping in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because you're riding through looking for dirty houses to flip. Don't do that. Make sure that you give consideration to that park manager and set an appointment. That's the first thing I would say. Then the next thing would be explaining who you are and what you do and how you'd like to work with that park to help them improve that property, or see if they could utilize your assistance. Don't just assume that they can, because you don't know what their plans are for those properties, what stage of the game those are with legal, if they've been a long-term abandonment, if there's new property management that's just settling in, or if there's still somebody paying rent on that thing with no windows, because you don't know. And so making sure that you start off going, okay, how do I approach that manager? First thing is being considerate of their time, and then next thing would be checking in, and because it is a cold conversation, to see if they do need your help. That would be a very pleasant and friendly way of starting in at it.
It's very good. That's not something I've actually taught my students. So you taught me something there. And it's funny you say that, because here where I'm located, which is east of Atlanta, there's one park in particular. Why do they do this? And when I say, why do they? It's actually a corporation that owns 3 different parks. And they have
Mm-hmm.
one manager running from park to park all week. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
like it's across town or a few minute drive. They're 45 minutes to an hour apart. So I think it's like the fifth manager now, which I can't imagine why. She'll
Mm-hmm.
work in one park Monday, in the other park on Tuesday, Thursday, and I don't even know the rest of the schedule. But bottom line is she's never there. And I hear this a lot from the students that I've sent them into this park because I know it's subleasing friendly. So I sent them in, and well, she's never there. And that's one thing to consider is that they are busy. They are working, they're covering, and it's not just managing a park. There's many things that are happening. So very good point on that. I will definitely reiterate that coming forward. So
Well, yeah, it's an unusual job being a park manager because you're not just there to collect the rent. And if you have a park manager that's there that is only collecting the rent, the park is going to show that they're only collecting the rent. The busiest parks, you're going to see the managers the least because they're having to go, usually they're the one that has to go to court when there's legal stuff. They have to go with the legal team if it's a smaller place, or if the owners of the property prefer that. They're the ones that have to go and source all of the inventory and supplies for things. They're the one that has to go out and make sure that their maintenance team is taking care of business. They're running around doing they have to micromanage along with manage. So yeah, that time space continuum of our day is not normal. It's very choppy for all the different layers.
absolutely. And that's another point you make is I make it a priority not to bother park managers around the 1st through about the 5th, because that's lock rent collect time. That's people being late, violations, whatever. So I try to wait till, past that time. And of course, after an X amount of time, evictions come, and that's probably a good time. But if you could pick a good time of the month that investors should come in, or at least reach out to you as a park manager per se, what time of the month would that be?
Well, each state's going to be a little different depending on when their delinquencies requirements are. So I would say you want to fact check for your state what those delinquency requirements are, and then add 4 to 6 days after that delinquency date, because like in Washington, they just changed it a year and a half or 2 years ago, so that now the delinquency timelines are stretched longer. So where the 6th maybe was cool before for all of the people paying that were going to pay later, going to drop their money in the box, and now you got to hustle all of the late fees and hustle all of the paperwork that goes with that for the notices. Now it's pushed out a little bit longer, so now it would be a better time than later. So I would say, depending on the state, I would say find the delinquency cutoff, add 3 days, and then make sure there's not a weekend stuffed in there, and then do the following like Tuesday, because Mondays are bad no matter what, because every Monday there's going to be 50 phone calls in there of somebody doing something stupid on the weekend that are left on your voicemail that you have to check on Monday. So there's all the weekend fires to put out for all of that weird stuff. And it's all of the days that a lot of vendors like to walk in and think that you're not doing anything, so they want to monopolize your day. So on Mondays are a big day when people that are looking to drum up business show up. Don't be that guy.
Okay.
No. And Fridays are bad too, usually. So, and you want to check also during the season. So like, and then it sounds kind of cheesy, but okay, so some parks are going to be more busy with events than others. So if you've got a little park and it's got no clubhouse, there's not going to be events, right? So you don't have to worry about this aspect. But if you have a place that has an event space and you've noticed that it's, because let's say it's in your neighborhood or the general area where you're looking to work anyway, and you've noticed that they're regularly busy or there's a regular flow of people through that space, make sure you're paying attention to if they've got flyers up. If there's an event coming up within 2 to 5 days, don't be wanting to come over that day either, because they're going to be gone collecting supplies and checking with their caterers and doing all this other stuff for that event to make sure that their residents are taken care of for that. So it's kind of it's not a drop-in thing. You want to make sure you call them. Just be considerate and call, and then ask them what the best days are for them to chat. If they blow you off, they're going to keep blowing you off for the most part until you wear them down, or they might tell you straight up front too that they are open to others coming in for investments, and they may tell you up front that they're not open to it, and it may save you some time. So I'd say a phone call is better than a walk-in, just in general. That was a lot of ways to get around to that. I'm sorry.
Especially now, I'm sure with COVID and everything, play it safe, of course. And a lot of parks are still here in Georgia. I think it's back to normal for the most part. I know evictions and that sort of thing is still kind of, a little shaky, but they are starting to work inside offices, inside of community parks. So that's, available. But I would definitely say, phone calls probably better. And in case you missed it, Monday and Fridays, avoid Messing or
Yeah.
bothering. Got it. Noted. Oh, we will reiterate it for sure.
Yeah, because
Um,
there's the loose ends, the Monday loose ends, and the Friday loose ends. The middle of the week's
no, it
always
makes
kind of
sense.
better.
You know, that's the same for me as I will have 100 calls, 100 numbers to call on Monday from the weekend. So
Hmm.
it's like, don't bother me Mondays. Monday is my hot day. So understood.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Have you worked with investors, mobile home investors in the past while you managed?
Yeah. Yeah, I have. There was some that had that were there prior to. There were some that were working that had homes prior to when I started working in one of the properties, and then the other company that I worked for wasn't investor friendly, and so that wasn't really a thing. But this one they were. This last one they were, and they had. Yeah, I have. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So again, you've been in the field a long time. You've seen, I'm sure, the good, bad, different, and then some in between, wherever that is. So good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you mentioned one park was sub-friendly, investor friendly, if you will, and the other one was not.
Mhm.
Um, Tell me a little bit about that one that was not. And for parks like that are not investor friendly, should investors attempt anyway, or just leave it alone?
Doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, you're not going to know unless you ask. Like, it's not like it's something that the properties advertise that they don't want investors in there. They don't say anything. They're not going to be like blasting it all over the billboard. It's going to be something that's privately known. So, I mean, if it's a property you're interested in and you see a house that looks like it needs a something, something, and you want to get it, you just go ask. It's
Okay.
fine. And worst case scenarios, they're going to tell you no, and you're moving on down the street and you take them off your hot sheet. It's fine. No biggie.
There you go. Well said. Okay. Should investors, would you suggest that investors browse through the community, maybe talk to residents, tenants before seeing a park manager, or the other way around?
Other way around.
Uh-oh.
Because otherwise you're going to be wasting your time jawboning with the neighbors who don't know anything that has to go on in the office. They really don't. They like to think they do. They don't know. And they do. There's always a few.
Oh,
They
yeah.
think they know it all, and they're the neighborhood gossip and they're always very friendly to chat with, but you're going to waste an hour and a half, talking with Pete down the road about something when you still need to talk to the person in the office. So it just helps to go talk to the office.
Well said. Definitely. Don't burn your time. I mean, and like I said, if it's a park that is not sublease or investor friendly, you shouldn't have been there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Go put your time more towards. But that is very true. You can drive into any mobile home community park and you will find that they're usually browsing, doing their walk for the day or whatever. And the second you ask one question, you are there for another 30 minutes and you know everybody's business. Yes. They know enough, but
Yeah.
not enough for what they should. So yeah, come see the park manager first or give them a call. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. One thing that I used to, and this goes back to the same question, but we have these. I don't have it in front of me. I would show one on the video, but we'll put it on there somewhere. Little cards. We buy mobile homes. If you're selling, call us. That sort of thing. Just almost like a little bandit signed card.
Yeah.
And in the past, especially when I was starting out, I would pin them to their mailboxes because most mobile home parks have mailbox stations. So we come in and just kind of pin them. And some parks that went great. Some parks we got a phone call that again they weren't subleasing. But same to that same question. Would you suggest investors doing that?
I would say it depends. They still need to. I that costs you money when you have those signs. So from the perspective of somebody that would, as a business owner, I would say that you should talk to the property manager first on that one too, because like in some states, when you like Washington, if you go and stick little signs on stuff, and it hits the wind and it blows to the ground, it's now litter, and you can get fined for that, and they will tag you for it. So if you are in a public or a private space and you're bringing in notifications for people, now let's say it says, now if they have a thing on the front of the park too, like that's another big thing up here is there's, they're going to put a sign on the front that says no soliciting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's any walk-in, drive-in, anybody but church that's coming in to sell anything is soliciting. No matter how you want to slice it, frame it, wrap it in a package, it's all soliciting. So you want to make sure that you're not going out of bounds on that for them, because you're going to be wasting your money on the supplies and time. So
Understood. Okay.
You
Those
know,
of you
that's kind of
watching
a
this
bummer.
video after this recording, listen to this and pay extra attention to sections like this. So, and every state is different. I mean, same way here. Like I said, we're in 6 different states, and it's, you know, it's just neat how, and not even in different states, it's different cities how they act about things like this. So, some of
Mhm.
these bandit signs, you know, I tell my students, you know, you might want to find out if they allow those in the city, period, because you could be getting a phone
Mhm.
call and it's not from somebody trying to sell you a mobile home. It's for come and get a fine kind of thing. So,
Mhm.
be careful. Obviously, you know, pay attention to the rules, laws, and regulations, and do that prior to trying to just go out there and start pinning your signs. So,
Mhm.
what would you suggest to a new investor coming into the mobile home investing world, finding their
Well,
first lead?
I think it's just, you know, hit the ground running and try. You know, I think that there should be no discouragement. You know, if you're new to it, going with great guns and just keep chipping away at it. You know, do do every bit of free advertising you can do all your word of mouth referrals you can do all the things that you're being taught to do all the things you know work. You know, do what makes sense, just like you would advertise for any other business, so that you could get that first lead nailed down, and then ask for those referrals. You know, work with investor friendly properties, because that's, you know, going to be a good place. Do your thing that you need to do there, and just keep looking. You know, use your network, do all the things that make sense so that you can make that money.
Barbara, are you an investor?
I wish.
That was beautiful. That was
I'm
great.
an
Take
entrepreneur.
take action. That's perfect. Take action, because aside from the fear of managers for whatever that is,
Mhm.
it's too many people overeducate themselves, and then they just confuse more than they should have, and they refuse to implement anything. So it's that take action.
Mhm.
Definitely, you know, start chipping a little at a time, and the more you get into it, the more you're going to realize there's more and more questions, but you're figuring this out. So,
Well, yeah, and it can be fun. It doesn't have to be difficult, you know. And don't put all your eggs in one basket in one area. You know, if you, let's say you pick the whole state, pick a 50-mile radius of your house, pick if you're not going to be doing it locally and you're going to be doing some, you know, segment of it across the United States, pick a section and start systematically working it out. Don't just throw darts at a board and try to wing it. You know, try to keep yourself organized and plodding along. And there's some really good resources out there that can that have lists of like every single mobile home park in the United States. So that's out there too.
um, Barbara, I have a feeling you and I are going to have another call offline. Well, I see a connection here. So,
My bad. Sorry, edit that out.
and you said something on our previous two, which was use all the free media in that, and definitely exhaust all those avenues first that are free and get
Mhm.
you out there. Stop making things complicated. Keep it simple, exhaust them, and then see where you're at that point. Very good.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay. Well, Barbara, it is a pleasure as always to speak with you and have you on here. So I'm glad you could join us. A little late. You're in Washington, so it's almost 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But what is it, 7 p.m. your time?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
So a little
Hmm.
bit of time difference there, but okay. Well, great. Thank you for having us coming on our show. And like I said, we're gonna have another call, so stay tuned for that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here.
All right.